After the less than stellar January PlayStation Plus offerings, I think it's time that we get back to being more vocal about the games that we want as PlayStation Plus subscribers. We used to do this series, but then it seemed like PlayStation Plus was picking up steam and they were offering truly great games, but then January came around and it seemed like Sony kind of let their foot off the gas with the Plus offerings for 2019. So let's get back to demanding some games. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at 4 games that I would love to see as PlayStation Plus game offerings for the month of February. Now, if you guys have watched the series in the past, you know that I like to be realistic with the game selections. I don't pick games that are recently released. I'm not gonna pick a Red Dead Redemption 2 or a Black Ops 4. That's just not realistic. However, I do try to pick compelling games that not only are great games, but sometimes would also promote games that are releasing within the month. In the case of February, this was really easy to do so, and I went with 4 games this time around. 3 games that were designed for the PlayStation 4, but Plus also always seems to offer PlayStation Vita, PS4 cross-buy titles, so I looked through that catalog and there are some great games a part of that, so we have 1 game from there as well. Without further ado, let's get started, and I think the slam dunk home run pick for February would be Sony striking a deal with Deep Silver and getting Metro Redo as a PlayStation Plus title. Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light are 2 criminally underrated games. Thankfully, it does seem like there's a large amount of anticipation for Metro Exodus. Seemingly, that's just based on the gameplay that so many gamers have seen. Based on what I see anecdotally from my comment section and other social media platforms, there are actually a large subsect of you that haven't played Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, and that's really unfortunate because Metro is a single-player first-person shooter series. Yes, it's a first-person shooter, but it is completely devoid of multiplayer. It is strictly single-player, and as a single-player game, it has an incredibly strong narrative that makes you feel attached to the characters. That's not common for a lot of first-person shooters, but Metro absolutely has that and has it in spades. So for you to go into Metro Exodus without knowledge of Metro 2033 or Last Light, I'm sure Exodus will still be a very good game, but playing through 2033 and Last Light would probably only enhance your experience. Also, this isn't the case of, well, Metro Exodus is coming halfway through February, you would have to beat 2033 and Last Light, and then you check out Exodus. Is that going to take a lot of time? Not necessarily, because 2033 and Last Light, while they are great games, they are a little bit on the shorter side. You can beat them in 8 to 10 hours, so you can easily beat those 2 titles and get ready for Metro Exodus. Not only would it promote Metro Exodus even more, it would raise the anticipation, it would get people familiar with the story, the world, and the atmosphere that these games have to offer. And not only that, do I have to mention again that these are great games in their own right. Even if Metro Exodus wasn't being released in February, I always seem to recommend Metro 2033 and Last Light when they go on sale. At this point, when they do go on sale, they go for $5 or $6, so it's not like this is a big ask to ask for it as a Plus title, and I think gamers would be enamored by the experiences that 2033 and Last Light offer. Make it happen, Sony. Moving on from that, one of February's bigger game releases is of course the latest game coming from BioWare, so I was inclined to add a BioWare game to this list. You guys might think I would go Dragon Age Inquisition, but no, I went with one of the most disappointing games of this generation, at least to many gamers, in Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, I went with Mass Effect Andromeda for a wide variety of reasons. This game has been absolutely chewed up, buried, and yes, I understand, Mass Effect Andromeda is nowhere near as good as, say, Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 was the pinnacle of the franchise in my eyes, and I think many of you would agree with me on that. That game was just absolutely incredible, and Mass Effect 3 was very good as well, bar the ending. Andromeda was just not as good of a game as the main trilogy. However, years later, and coming from someone that revisited Mass Effect Andromeda about 6 months ago, and when I returned to the game, I was just expecting a really bad game. You actually see that if you assess Mass Effect Andromeda as its own game, it's not a bad game. And the thing is, if you offered it as a Plus title, the expectations for this game are so low that I think when gamers go back and give Mass Effect Andromeda another shot, they would actually be pleasantly surprised by the game, because the gameplay in this title is actually relatively strong. The storytelling is a little bit whack, and yes, there was a graphical downgrade, but at this point, if you're playing the game in 2019, how many people are going to dig up old footage and be like, oh, they graphically downgraded the game? That's really gonna be the last thing you think about. Not only would Andromeda be a AAA game that you're offering to gamers, it's a game that so many people did skip out on just based on the negativity that was surrounding the game, that offering it as a Plus title, allowing gamers to get it as a Plus subscriber, I really do believe that gamers would be pleasantly surprised by it. Maybe I'm wrong on that, maybe that was just my own experience, and I'm not necessarily saying give Andromeda away to promote Anthem, because the 2 games really aren't related at all. Anthem is a multiplayer oriented experience, less focused on the narrative, although it has a narrative. But hey, we do have the BioWare tie-in, and I did think Mass Effect Andromeda would be a cool freebie for Plus subscribers in February, and in this case with my list, it acts more as a complimentary title to the Metro Redo collection, because we know 2033 and Last Light are great, so no worries on those. Moving on from that, now I said at the top of this video I wouldn't list any games that were very recent releases. Well, I kind of went back on that. I'm just not listing any games that I know for a fact aren't gonna be a Plus offering, or they're games that are just still selling very well and publishers have no reason to offer them as Plus freebies. However, this game in particular, Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden, it released back in December, but I'm confident in putting it as a Plus title, and if it's not a Plus title in February, I do have an expectation and a hunch that it will be a Plus title sometime in the future, because this game actually released as an Xbox Game Pass title. And we've seen in the past that Game Pass titles usually make their way over as a Plus title at some point. We saw that with Onrush, and I imagine that we'll see it at some point with Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. Now, that might not be in February, that might be down the line, but to me, the fact that this game is on Game Pass tells me that the developers and publishers are okay with working with Sony and Microsoft on getting this game out, not necessarily for selling it at full price, but if they can work out other deals, they will offer this game. Now, enough about that. What about the game themselves? It's a mosh pit of a lot of different genres. It's described as a tactical adventure game combining the turn-based combat of XCOM with story, exploration, stealth, and strategy. You take control of a team of mutants navigating a post-human Earth, and the game was actually created by a team including former Hitman leads and the designer of Payday, so you had quite a roster working on the game. How's the reception of this game? I believe it was pretty positive. It's sitting at the mid to high 70s, and that's pretty good for a new IP. And the game itself, from its premise and presentation, right away when you look at it and you look at some of the characters, yeah, I feel like you will be interested from the get-go, but it just wasn't a game that a lot of gamers were inclined to drop $34.99 on. For Game Pass subscribers and for Xbox users, yeah, if you're a Game Pass subscriber and you're paying $9.99 a month and Mutant Year Zero was just added as a part of that, it's great to check out that game. For us on the PlayStation 4, checking it out for a full $35, and not a lot of us picked it up. However, as a PlayStation Plus game, I think it would fit right in, and I think it would be a game that gamers would be pleased to get. And lastly, when I do these videos from now on, I'm also going to mention a PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 4 cross-buy title, because it seems like Sony always throws one of those games in there. I looked through the entire catalog of games that are PS Vita, PS4 cross-buy titles. There are actually some tremendous games as a part of that, so there's a lot of potential there. Although Sony will conclude offering Vita games in the future, so that will dissipate. However, for the coming months, we will be getting Vita games, and one that I would love to see that's cross-buy with the PlayStation 4, it's Cosmic Star Heroine. This is a fantastic RPG that takes best of classics and modern RPGs. Battles take place directly in the areas that you explore, and the visual style is great for those of you that played old school games on, say, the Super Nintendo, pixel art style games. It's fantastic. It's got a great soundtrack, a great story, and I know this is going to be the type of game that a lot of gamers are turned off from the get-go just from a technical sense, but I do think there's an audience that would be captivated by Cosmic Star Heroine, and the game itself has been received very well. Again, sitting at the mid to high 70s on Metacritic, and that's very respectable for a smaller game like this, at least smaller in presentation. However, if you actually look at content, Cosmic Star Heroine is plentiful in that aspect. And it's another game that at this point I don't think a lot of PS4 owners are going out of their way to buy this game directly. However, offering it as a Plus title could definitely get the word out about the game. And that's going to conclude this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope I offered a lot of insight in the type of games that I like to see from PlayStation Plus. And I think with all of these 4 games, there's reasoning behind it. Metro Redo offers 2 great games, and it promotes Metro Exodus. They are story-driven games, and I'd like people to be up to speed on Exodus before its release. Andromeda, I think, would just be an interesting game, and I do think a lot of gamers would be pleasantly surprised by it, just based on the fact that this game has been run through the ground, kind of rightfully so, but all these years later, I think people will appreciate it just a little bit more. Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden, I have a strong hunch that at some point this will be a Plus game, just on the basis that it is a Game Pass title. I hope that comes to fruition sooner rather than later, and I think Cosmic Star Heroine would be a great PS Vita, PS4 cross-buy game. That's gonna conclude this video. Let us know what games you'd like to see from Plus in February. Remember, this is always just speculation, and when we have the official word on what the Plus games for February are, we'll definitely let you guys know. That's gonna conclude this one. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.